Hey, Chaim. Good to see you. Okay, friends. So, So, with Hashem's help, we're jumping back in to Yichud HaShabbos. I apologize about last week. It was a bit of a crazy situation, as we had a wedding that was supposed to be about an hour and a half away, and it took 3.5 hours to get there and to get back, and the whole wedding was pushed off, and it was madness. But Baruch Hashem, we're here now. And we have the privilege of finishing off this mimer that we've been learning, a very deep teaching about the centrality of Shabbos. And Shabbos is not the end of the week, as most of us think it is, but Shabbos is rather the center of the week. Shabbos is central to the week. And we were learning a lot about that. Let's jump in, if we can, if somebody does just mind letting them in. I guess that's the only problem with the enclosure, you can't get out. There's one on this side, okay.
No problem.
Shkoyach. So, if you take a look at page Shin Pei, the last paragraph that we were looking at was Yemino Usmala Uvenayu Chala, if I'm not mistaken, which comes from the Arizal's poem of Azamer B'Shvachin. It says Shin Pei on the top right hand side. And we understood that what does it mean, Yemina Usmala Ovenayu Chala, right? That to the right and to the left and in the middle is the bride. So the bride is, of course, a reference to Shabbos, Boi Chala. And what's to the right and to the left? So we said to the right and to the left, in this scheme of understanding, this idea is that, well, if Shabbos is the center of the week, so then to the right is 3 days, right? Which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. To the left is 3 days, which is the following days of Shabbos, which is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And that's really how a Jew understands time. Shabbos being the Makar HaBracha, the fountain of all the blessing. So it isn't at the end, it's the center. We measure, you remember we said we measure things from within, from the center point. And once we're in it, then we can look to the right and we see how much distance there is to the beginning. That's what we learned that whole deep physics, I don't know what category of thought that was, but right, when you look to the left and you can measure it. But if you look at things from an external perspective, you measure things from the edges, right? Because you're above it. You just look, okay, this starts here, ends here, and in that sense, Shabbos is the end, right? But when you're in it, we have a whole different way of measuring. Look to the right, you look to the left. Shabbos is the center.
But why does... I'm just looking at this table.
Yeah.
Because you said you don't want to sit in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sit at the end. And I'm looking at it. You have one length here and one length here.
Right.
In a way, you are in the middle. And so if Shabbos is where we actually know it to be, then it's in the middle of the 2 weeks. Because you're looking back at 1 week and you're looking ahead of the next week.
This is also true. Nachon. That's from the standpoint of the week as a unit that isn't absolute. Right? So meaning, in our experience of this idea of, we understand Shabbos comes at the end of 1 week, and then there's the next week. So for sure Shabbos is sandwiched between week 1 and week 2.
In and out.
Nachon. But this is not a contradiction to that. That's true. What we're saying here is that in the fundamental DNA of time, there is no second week. The second week is just a copying over of the first week. So from that standpoint, all you have, essentially, is Shabbos, which is the middle, and then you have 3 days and 3 days. You understand? But you're 100% right, is that in our reality of this self-repetitive cycle of time, in a Chanami, Shabbos is the end of 1 week, and then it becomes the soul of the next week, right? In the next 6 days until the next Shabbos. And that's true also. This is, by the way, an interesting machlokas that we find in Chazal, 2 sources, which I mentioned in the past in this shiurim. One of which teaches that if all of Klal Yisrael would keep 1 Shabbos properly, the redemption would come. Right, the whole world would be redeemed. That's Mordechai ben David's girsa, apparently, just 1 Shabbos, and we'll all be free. But there's another Maimer Chazal that says if we kept two Shabbosim, then the world would be redeemed. And so it might be related to this. Because from the standpoint of what we're learning here in Rav Kluger, there only is 1 Shabbos. There's just 1 Shabbos. Because in the DNA of time, there's just that block of time. There are no two Shabbos. There's no 2 weeks. There's no next. But the B'ditchev Rav explains, actually in Kedushas Levi, that these two Mamar Chazal are actually one. Because he said, because like Rabbi Edgar is saying, one Shabbos is both the fixing of the previous week and as well as the energy of the ensuing week. He says if Klal Yisrael kept one Shabbos properly, it would set a chain of reaction where it would impact every week, and that week would impact the following Shabbos, that Shabbos would impact the following week, and it would go up and up and up and up and on and on and on and on. And it would never stop. And so 2 is just the minimum expression of multiple, right? So it means if you really keep one Shabbos properly, then it would naturally be 2 Shabbos properly, because Shabbos is impacted by the week, and so we come into Shabbos properly. Shabbos then impacts the week, and so you set off a chain of events. Understand that it goes higher and higher and higher. But over here we're speaking about 6 days. Yemina usmala uvenayu kala. Now let's start at the Shiva Kanei HaMenorah, where Rav Kluger brings another example of this idea from the way that the menorah was situated. So he says, and in a similar physical model of what we're explaining the week to really look like, Kain who side Shivas Kanei HaMenorah, this is the secret of the 7 branches of the menorah. Of course, our menorahs today have 8 branches, but in the Beis Hamikdash and the Mishkan there were only 7 branches. How were the branches situated? Says Rav Kluger, about the menorah it says, Shisha kanim yotzeh mitzideha. There are 6 branches that emerge from the sides. Shloisha kanei menorah mitzida echad. There are 3 branches of the menorah that come out of one of the sides of the menorah. So what is the menorah? Is the central pillar. And shloisha kanei menorah mitzida sheni. And there are 3 branches that come out of the second side. That means to say that the fundamental central branch of the menorah is the menorah, right? It's the center. And it represents the point of the essence of the root, the center. That's the essence of the thing. Shekol shisha kanim, that all of the other 6 branches, heim hamshacha mimenu, aren't just they happen to be, that's the way the menorah is, because remember, there is no way the menorah is. You have to understand, the menorah is not something that's built for any kind of utility, right? It's a very important point about the kelim of the Beis Hamikdash. The kelim of the Beis Hamikdash are fundamentally different from anything else that a person would build. Because why do people build things? Outside of art, let's leave art aside. But anything that a person builds, a table, a person builds bookshelves, right? I'd spend so much time making these incredible bookshelves, right? A person builds something. Why do we build bookshelves? To hold books. So l'cha'ira, there are many different ways that we could have built a bookshelf to serve that function. So meaning the construction of the bookshelf is not dafka, unless you're going for a certain style, but even then it's based on preference. But it's not dafka. There are many, many, many right ways to build a bookshelf, right? How would you define the right ways of building a bookshelf? You would just say, it holds books, right? That's what you'd say. And so there are millions of right ways of building a chair, millions of correct ways of building a bookshelf, millions of correct ways of building a house, of building, as long as it serves the purpose that we built this thing for, ultimately. The kelim of the Beis Hamikdash are not built for any utilitarian purpose. The menorah is not needed for anything. The Beis Hamikdash is full of light, right? The menorah is not needed to illuminate the Beis Hamikdash. That means that every single detail of the menorah, every detail of it in its construction, in its design, down to the details of the details, not only of the menorah, but of all of the other kelim of the Beis Hamikdash, are spiritually significant. Because there is no this worldly utility for the menorah. Right, so God could have made a candelabra in millions of ways. Right? Maybe He could have made 9 branches. Maybe He could have made, that there is no central branch and they all come out from. Maybe He could have just made a base and then all the branches coming out of that. Maybe He could have made a hanging chandelier. Like God, there could have been millions of ways that Hashem could have created the menorah. Why is it in the way that it is? Very, very specific. Secrets, mysteries, deep secrets of Torah in every single aspect of this thing called the menorah. So here we understand a little bit why. Because if the model of time is that you have Shabbos in the middle, and Yemina Usmala Uvenayu Kala, where you have the bride in the center and all of her friends, the three friends to the right, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the three friends to the left, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Kikala Bein Ra'iseh Meshubatza, like we sing in the Zmiris of Friday night, like a bride surrounded by her friends. And you understand, if you think of it very, very carefully, philosophically, the only reason the friends happen to be around the bride. Why are all those friends in that place at that time? Because she's the bride, because she's there. It isn't that, it just happens that there's a lot of people and there's one central person and she just happens to be in the middle. And she's dressed differently than everyone else. No, the only reason there's this group of people is because there's the bride. So I take that model, I lift it out theoretically of this abstract form of time, and then I look at the model of the physical menorah, and I say, wow, it's the same exact thing. You have a central branch in the middle, then you have 3 branches out of one side, 3 branches out of the other side, which, because I'm utilizing the meaning of the model of the week, where Shabbos is the Makar HaBracha, and the other days of the week are drawing their energy from it, now I look at those 6 branches of the menorah, and I understand something I would never have understood otherwise, which is, they draw all of their illumination from the central branch. I never would have known that, I'll be pshat. Just look at it, you say, okay, this is the way that the form is. It's much deeper. Now it's much deeper. So Rav Kluger learns that the essence of the menorah is that central pillar, and then all of the other branches don't just happen to come out of it, but spiritually speaking, are outgrowths and are powered by that central branch. Let's look back inside. And in order to signify this, the Torah teaches very clearly, Va'asisas neresah shiva, you shall light and make and prepare the 7 candles of this menorah. Ve'heles neresah ve'her al aver panah, and you shall kindle the flames, and they shall illuminate al aver panaha, which is the primary face of the menorah. Says Rashi, what does this mean? Aseh pi sheishes hanera, make the 6 candles, sheberashe hakanim, which are the wicks that are at the tip of the menorah, branches. Hayotzim mitzidel misubim klapeim tzai. Says Rashi, they had to arrange the wicks facing toward the center. Kedishiu haneras kishetadlikam. Says Rashi, so that when you kindle those flames, me'irin el aver panah, they are illuminating the center. It's like shining a spotlight on the middle, like a bride's friends that are accompanying her. They're all looking toward the center. She is the essence. They get all of their energy, meaning the only reason they're present in that place and the way that they are dressed up in the way that they are, wearing all different jewelry and everything, is they're getting their whole energy is to shine light on her, to point the way to her. So too the 6 branches of the menorah are arranged physically in such a way where they point their light at the center, which if you think of it, so now bring that concept back to Shabbos, means that the whole purpose of the 6 days of the week is to point to Shabbos. And that's why we count every day, Hayom Yom Rishon l'Shabbos, Yom Sheni l'Shabbos, like we learned in the beginning of the piece. The whole point is that we're supposed to be living with Shabbos consciousness the whole week, just like Shammai, who we learned about, who the whole week would buy better pieces of meat, and then he would find a better piece of meat, and he would buy that one. And the whole time Shabbos is on his mind, we said, Acha Sha'altem Eis Hashem, Rosh Tevis, acronym is Shammai. Oisavake, Shammai only lived for one thing, which is Shabbos, Shivti Bebeis Hashem. Shabbos Bebeis Hashem. He says, all I want is Shabbos. Kol Yemei Chayai, so that all of the other days of my week, all of the other days of my life should be filled with Shabbos. Otherwise, what's the point? What is the point of the week? If you think of it, the money, the all the stuff that we have to take care of, whether it's, like you said, business, family, practical, physical things that a person's busy with the whole time. What's the use? This world is a temporary place. We're not going to be here forever. All of these things, I got to take care of that. I got to take care of that. The soul doesn't got to take care of anything. The soul lives eternally. This world is not forever. So we get so caught up, right? That's the danger in the week, in the Yemais HaChol, that if a person isn't living with Shabbos consciousness, a person can waste their whole life. can waste their whole life away. And then a little bit, maybe even if they have the privilege, they'll wake up in their 70s, 80s, 90s, 110s. Lifespan is increasing, so 148s, 183. And a person looks back and they say, wow, what was that all for? It's like a cliche. Like nobody's going to look back and say, I wish I spent more time in the office. It's a cliche, but it's a deep truth, like most cliches. We just have resistance. We don't want to let it in, but it's really real. It's really real. Because this is just a temporary journey we have here. Very brief. Not worth getting all that hot and bothered about this world. It's just a small journey. The only way to realize that on a Wednesday and a Thursday and a Friday and a Sunday and a Monday and a Tuesday is if we have the consciousness that the whole week is centered around Shabbos, meaning to say that the whole purpose of this worldliness in the first place is that I have an opportunity through engaging with work at the office, if that's what we do, or in any other, just a catch-all, for any kind of work that a person happens to do, family time, and the various practical matters that are relevant to, to both of those areas of life or any other area of life. A person realizes the only reason I was placed in this realm and not created as an angel who doesn't have to experience any of this is for the purpose of bringing Shabbos consciousness down into this world, so that it can be at the office and it can be really, really in the calculations, in the real estate project, in the fill in the blank. And at the same time, I'm able to pause for 2 minutes and I'm able to look up and I'm able to remember the truth that I'm here, but I'm not here to be here. I'm here so that from here I can look up and wink. That's the whole point of this world. I'm here, but my feet, while firmly implanted on the ground, do not in any way contradict the way that my mind is up in the clouds. That my brain, my thoughts, and my heart, and my soul, and my yearning, and my values are rooted in that place of Shivisi Hashem Lenegdi Samid, placing God before me always, Bechol Drechecha Da'ehu, so that on all of my paths I can seek God, like Yaakov Avinu's ladder, which is emblematic of the Jewish soul, is Sula Mutzav Arza, right, where the lower part of the ladder is firmly rooted in this world, but the Roisha Magia Shamayim, but the head the whole time is Mamish in the heavens. That's the whole purpose of what it is to be a Jew in the first place. Sure, we're supposed to be sent down here and to engage with this world, not to negate it, not to seek to escape it like the Hindus, the Buddhists, in the Eastern traditions, to escape this world. This world is an illusion. This world is, made out of ignorance. We have to escape it. We have to negate it. We have to run into, nirvana, into moksha, just to bliss, and get away from it. No, this is not the Jewish way. The Jewish way realizes there's a world here. We also, like the Eastern traditions, believe that this is not the ultimate reality. We agree with them on that. But we don't simply excuse the deeply felt experience of us perceiving this reality to be reality as some kind of cosmic error. We are here for the purpose of engaging in that form of existence, in bodies, with all that comes along with bodies, both our own as well as the body of reality, which is everything physical that we encounter on the level of inanimate plant life, animals, humans, on the level of the four elements, air, fire, water, earth, everything. To deeply, deeply live in that reality. We're not angels. But with our heart and with our mind in Shabbos the whole time. The whole time in Shabbos, the whole time plugged into that truth. And when we engage with life with that reality, everything changes. We're not running away from relationships because it's so unconscious. No, bring consciousness into what is often a very unconscious space. We're not running away to a mountaintop to sit and meditate, because it can't be involved in the lowliness of this world. No, be involved in the lowliness of this world. Bring your meditation into it. We call that, in Judaism, tikkun midos. You need to work on your traits. Traits don't need to be worked on when you're all alone, on some mountaintop somewhere. Because there's no arena where you should have catalysts that will bring out your ego. But when you live in a space full of other egos, in settings which are irksome, where people might yell at you for no reason, right? Not he didn't yell at me. We were together in a car, and apparently I almost killed somebody on a bike who I just didn't see and got told off. People not, there's stuff going on in this world. It's, a lot of people have their considerations and their beliefs and their stuff, and that's a mess, but it's supposed to be a mess. That's the point. Adam la'amal yulad. This is a world of toil, of work. Adam and Chava were put in this world as a garden that they needed to cultivate. They were put in the garden la'avda u'lishamra. This is not a complete world. This is not a rectified space. This is the lowest of all realities. This is olam ha'asiyah. This is not supposed to be a spiritually enlightened place. This is supposed to be a place where, despite the darkness, you somehow discover enough light inside of yourself, inside of our tradition, inside of God, which can enable you even in that realm to surpass, to transcend, to grow. And that's something that angels cannot do because they don't have those same challenges. They don't have those kind of issues. The angels are perfect, they're programmed, they're fine. Can you imagine that? They don't have a Yetzer Hara, they don't understand what it means to be tempted. There's a sugya with the fallen angels at the end of Parshas Noach. It's a complicated thing. But generally speaking, the angels are just what the angels are. And I'm telling you, they're jealous of us. They can't understand us, but they're deeply, deeply envious of us. Because they can't understand how we are the crowning glory of God's creation, when it seems to be that we're the lowliest entities in the whole hierarchy of spiritual worlds. They can't understand it. And they'll never have the privilege of doing what we can do. I've said this also in the past, forgive me, I'm just repeating it, but it's the beauty of forgetfulness, is that you get to learn things again for the first time. One of the reasons that at the end of Shalom Aleichem, where we first welcome the angels, and then we invite them in, right? Bo'achem l'shalom, and then we request that they bless us, Barchuni l'shalom, and then, I just said this over Friday night, right? And then we dismiss them. We say Tzeichem l'shalom, and it would seem on a surface to be a bit rude. They came a long way. They came all the way from wherever they came. They came to your house. They were nice enough to bless you, and then you say, okay, you can go now. So why shouldn't they stay? You should know that there are some Hasidic traditions that leave Tzeichem l'shalom out. They don't sing it at all for that reason, because they don't want to kick the angels out, and the angels should stay. The more angels are coming, your home will be full of Shabbos angels. But one of the tzaddikim explains, can't remember where I saw this, but I saw it in a sefer. He says, no, you're misunderstanding. He says, think of what you're about to do. In a few minutes, you'll sing Eshes Chayil, whatever your minhag is, you'll sing Hazamar B'Shvach, and you'll sing some other things, or not. You're about to make Kiddush. Kiddush means taking something that could be the most destructive force on this planet, alcohol. Chazal say, Loi zacha nasa rush. If a person doesn't engage with alcohol properly, nasa rush. They could become terribly impoverished. Dangerous thing. And it's, in a certain sense, the epitome of the danger of this world, which could also go either way. It can either be a propellant, which brings a person closer to God, or it can be the opposite. And we take this cup of wine and we hold it in our hand, which is always symbolic of control. And you should, when you're making Kiddush, take a look in the Ben Ish Chai, explains this. You're not supposed to hold the cup like from the side. It should really be in your palm. It should be in your palm, like holding it like this from the bottom, with all your fingers around it. Deep Kabbalistic reasons why. We're not going to go into that now. It's also the beginning of the Zohar. There speaks about this in Akdamat Bereshis. You hold it like this from the bottom. Full control over this world. Kois Yeshua's Esai. Lift up the cup. Elevate it. And you make Kiddush to sanctify the holiest day more than any of the other Chagim. Shabbos is the pinnacle. tachlis ma'aseh shemayim va'aretz. The whole purpose for this, that God created the world in the first place, and you herald the coming of the kedusha of Shabbos into your home with this cup of wine. That without the cup of wine, you can't make kiddush. Katsheu ala yayin, Chazal say. All of kiddush is on wine. Chamar Medina, on wine. So he says, if you think of it, no angel in the world will ever have the opportunity to do such a holy thing. Because in the world that they live in, there's no alcohol, and there's no temptation, right, from the standpoint of anything similar to alcohol. They don't have that challenge. They're not in the dirt. They're not in the tree of knowledge of good and evil, this world of duality, this world of good and bad and right and wrong and tensions. They're not in it. They'll never have the opportunity to take that by the horns, and to hold it in their hand and elevate it. See, he says, when we say to the malachim, tzeschem l'shalom, goodbye, he says, it's not because you're telling the angels to leave. It's because you're about to rise to a place where the angels cannot tread. You're the one who's leaving. Because you're about to rise to a place that the malachim can't even fathom. It's an amazing thing. So you're not telling the angels to depart. The angels will stay. But you say, I'm so sorry, it's Seis Chem L'Shalom, please excuse me, I have to make Kiddush now. And in making Kiddush, like, no angel will ever reach that level. Leifanim, Srafim, Chayes HaKodesh, nothing. Only we. So Shabbos is the whole purpose of existence. Let's go back inside. L'lamed, meaning to say, that the middle pillar of the menorah, it is the interiority, it is the soul, so to speak, of the other 6 branches, 3 and 3. And that's why everything turns toward it. Turn over the page, we'll finish this quickly. Nimsa. It emerges. It emerges based on what we're learning here, that every single week, we're on the last page, Shin Pei Aleph, at the very end of the, the last page, right? So, it emerges that every day of the week has a connection to Shabbos, because it is the central kernel, it's the essence of time. But we don't see that because we don't live in that reality, like we pointed out last week. 2 weeks ago. Because what can you do? We live in a world of free choice. So we can't live in this reality, right, where Shabbos is literally the middle of the week. We live in this world, so Shabbos is the end of the week. And there's something, like we pointed out, right, there's something precious about the fact that it's the last, because usually, like you said, beautifully, the last is always the most precious. That's our reality. Therefore, we can only say that Shabbos is the 7th day. Okay. But really, really, b'pnimius, in the truest depth of it, Shabbos is the soul of the week. The Alpiza, based on this, through this we could understand some of the halachic aspects of Shabbos. Because theoretically, you'd say that Shabbos is a time-bound mitzvah. Because literally you can't get more time-bound than Shabbos. Because the whole thing of Shabbos is that God rested on the 7th day, right? It's literally all about time. V'nashim. And what about women? Even though women are free from time-bound mitzvahs, in a certain sense, women are higher, and so they're not really so bound up to the realm of time as much as we are. So they don't have to do those fixed things that are related to mitzvah, to time. Right? But of course, women have to keep Shabbos. And the question is why? So ubepshuta, on a simple level, we know why, right? Because we learn it out from mehekish. Lamdu ken mehekish al zachar v'shamar, because we learn from these 2 words, zachar and shamar, that are bound up together, that kol sheyeshna b'shmira yeshna b'schira v'hani nashe ha'hal v'isna b'shmira isna b'schira. That women that are chayev in the shmira of the loisaseh also are chayev in aseh. So there's a connection in that way. We know that talmudically. The Tanan, call mitzvahs loisaseh, be'esh hazman grama, be'esh she'en hazman grama, nashim chayavos. The mitzvahs loisaseh, even though they're time bound, of course women are chayiv in, right? It's only the mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. So now that women are chayiv in the shmira, and shmira, shamar, is connected to zachar, shamar is the mitzvahs loisaseh of Shabbos, and zachar is the mitzvahs aseh, so those two things are connected. True. Beautiful. The Ishvar Kasav Ishal Ishlachal Anshim Shabbatar, as Rashi points out, Adlak on location over there. And that's true. Women and men are connected to all the losases. And since in this case the losase of Shmira is connected to Zachar, which is the mitzvah saseh, women are also chayiv. But that's only in Nigla. That's in the Gemara, which is beautiful and true. But Vavana Bazal Pipnimius, to understand this in a deeper way, is Kiachein HaShabbos Atzma Eina Shayeches Rak Liyam HaShvi'i. On a this worldly level, Shabbos is only one day. Because in Olam Hazeh, we have the 6 days of the week. Shabbos is the end of the week. It's the 7th day. It's a very specific point in time. And how could you... So what are you talking about? The women are chayiv in something that's time-bound? Now, why is it time-bound? Because it's only relevant to the 7th day. That's time-bound. It's a particular time. What about mitzvahs that are constant? Of course, women are chayiv. It's not a mitzvah seishas man grama. A woman is not chayiv on amuna, right? Amunas v'yadata yemashavay salabavecha. Hashem lekim b'shamayim b'malvaris mitachas einoid. Amuna is a constant mitzvah. There are 6 of them, right? There are many, many mitzvahs hasei that are not zman grama. Of course, women are chayiv in. Says Rav Kluger, guess what? Al pi pnimius, based on our deep understanding of what Shabbos is, it's an amazing thing. Shabbos is also a constant mitzvah. Shabbos is not time-bound. B'nigle, we live in this world, so you have to count up to Shabbos, 6 days of the week that are not Shabbos, and the 7th day that is Shabbos. But in Pnimius, understanding that Shabbos is the central branch, and all of the 6 days are drawing their energy from Shabbos, so that there's a Shabbos energy that could be sensed in every single day of the week, that all of the other days are there to support Shabbos, that Shabbos is there to support the 6 days of the week, that the whole purpose of the 6 days of the week is to draw Shabbos consciousness into them. So from that standpoint, there's no day that isn't Shabbos. There's no time that isn't Shabbos. There's no moment that isn't Shabbos. And therefore, Shabbos is not a mitzvah saseh man grama any more or any less than the 6 constant mitzvahs, because Shabbos has a constant aspect. Not in Nigle, but b'pnimius. And that's why in Niglas HaTorah, we needed to give another reason why women are chayiv in Shabbos. So the Gemara says, because you have a hekesh. That's in Nigle, you understand? Because that relates to our overt, surface level experience of this world, where Shabbos is not every day of the week. Shabbos is the 7th day. Mamela, the Gemara, Nigle, has to give another reason. But b'pnimius, Shabbos is constant. And so b'pnimius, this is the reason that women are chayiv in Shabbos. Because it is not a mitzvah saseh, shazman grama from that standpoint. Kihi etzem hamatziyah shel klalos hazman. Because Shabbos is the totality of all time. There's one day going to be a yom shekulai Shabbos, which will be the ultimate reality. What does it mean, a day that's all Shabbos? It's just going to be a sustained 7th day? No. There's still going to be the 6 days of the week. But those 6 days of the week will be so refined and elevated. We were speaking before about Rosh Hashanah, right? That consciousness, which we'll speak about in a minute as well. Where everyone will be living, like we say in the Rosh Hashanah davening, every creature will know its creator. Every being will know who fashioned and formed them. You talk about Shefer Golda, Oboa Avd Beretz Hashem Nidachim Beretz Hashem Yishtach B'la Hashem Har Kodesh Ki Beisi Beis Tefili Kar L'Chol Ha'amim, like we always say. Hashem's house will be a house of prayer for all the nations, where the whole world will be saturated with the knowledge of God like water covers the ocean. So then Sunday will be Shabbos, Monday will be Shabbos, Tuesday will be Shabbos, because there won't be anything else other than to sit and to bask in that light, not of doing, which is the 6 days of the week, but of being, just to be. And to do nothing else, just to rejoice, and to learn Torah, and to meditate, and to connect with people in an authentic and real way, and just to love, and just paradise, without having to do anything. We argued in previous shiurim that it's possible that the artificial intelligence revolution might actually bring us very close, or at least lay, the Mashiach ben Yosef level, like physical, practical framework for a reality in which people need to do a lot less work than they used to. A lot less work than they used to. And people will find themselves with huge swaths of time on their hand. And then our choice will really be, between total lack of productivity, meaning not even klipas noiga, which is like work, which is somewhat productive from a this worldly perspective. You'll get to choose. You can either literally waste your whole life and disappear into a fantasy of like, I imagine it won't just be like VR on your eyes. It'll be VR on your whole skin. Like you will be able to go into a fantasy world of man's creation, a synthetic world, or it will be a Yom Shekula Shabbos, where we'll be able to return to nature. We'll be able to return to our natural sense of identity, the way that things are supposed to be. You can come around this way. It's a bit of a maze. It's amazing. Welcome. This is going to be our choice. This is where humanity is heading. And so this is very real. This is not like theoretics. Like, we are on the cusp of that age. It might happen in our lifetime, where there will be a radical reshifting and re-evaluation of what it means to be human, with brand new opportunities and brand new challenges and brand new opportunities. V'chein yuvan bizeh din hamahalach b'midbar. He says we can also understand based on this the very strange halacha about a person who gets lost in a desert and loses track of time. And the Gemara says, Shamayna shishi yamim u'mekadesh shvi'i. He should count 6 days from when he loses track of time, like it's like from that minute. Count 6 days, the 7th day will be Shabbos. Just a shock. Because you can imagine 3 weeks later, the guy finds land and he thinks he's mamish in Shabbos, or maybe it's like it's Friday according to the calculation that he's had. And it's like, it's Tuesday. Tomorrow's not Shabbos. He looks back, and for 3 weeks, he was celebrating Shabbos on Wednesday. It was totally not Shabbos. Meaning, from the objective standpoint of where everyone else is at, he was mechalel, the real Shabbos, right? Didn't keep it. On Wednesday, he celebrated Shabbos. And the Gemara says, no. He's okay. He's totally fine. He kept Shabbos. And it was not Mechal Shabbos. How do you understand that? It is very likely that particular day that the person happens to count 7 days from that day is not Shabbos. So, says Rav Kluger, no worries. Because in the deepest core of the spiritual nature of reality, that day is Shabbos. It's just in potential. So he manifested it, right? He happened to take that day, and given his relative circumstances, he lived like we'll live every Wednesday, la'asad lava in the Yom Shekula Shabbos. So he's fine. Ukamayish is bar, as we explained. The last paragraph is not so crucial, so I'll just say it outside. Here he distinguishes between the counting of the 6 days of the week to and from Shabbos, and the counting to Sfira. Where Sfira Sa'aymer is all the way at the end, right? The days of Sfira are not full of the saturated energy of Shavuos, right? It's just, Shavuos says then, I'm counting the days. Shabbos is a whole different world. Shabbos is a whole different world. Let's just read that last paragraph. The tachlis mitzvah zu shal minin hayamim l'Shabbos. The whole purpose of this mitzvah, that according to the Ramban is a mitzvah sasei d'oraisa, to count each day to Shabbos, meaning to bring Shabbos into that day, is hu bechdei, is for the purpose of lekasher chitzonius habriel pinimiusa, is in that moment to recognize, yes, I get it, today's Thursday, but this world has a soul. Time has a soul. And right now I'm connecting the body of reality, which is Thursday, to the soul of reality, which is Shabbos. B'machshava v'dibor b'kedushas haShabbos b'maisachol, in one's thoughts, in one's words, to the holiness of Shabbos that exists as that internal spark even underneath the garments of the 6 days of the week. Litin behem pnimius, to bring interiority, holiness, contemplation, meditation, consciousness into them. And then each day becomes Shabbos-like. And then our whole energy is different. And we still go to work. And we're still busy with the kids, busy with friends, busy with mundane, taxes and bills and all these things. But we do so with a higher consciousness, with a Shabbos consciousness. And then we fulfill the purpose of all of reality, which was why? Is to go ahead and to bring, hey, great to see you, is to bring that heart and soul of reality and to draw it down into this world. Is to connect ourselves, to that ultimate, deepest layer of reality, to the place where the angels are, and then to drag it down into our blessed and tortured and challenging and glorious existence as this thing called human beings. What a privilege. What a privilege. Okay. Thank you. Let's get the lights. We can light the candles. Yeah, Edgar, do you have is it matches or are there matches on the table?
No, they're not.
Okay. What's that?
Now the right song is the same.
Oh.
Return to the land of the soul.
Yes, you got to sing that also. Wait, but 1 second before we do that, I just wanted to make a tiny announcement here. So I did mention Rosh Hashanah. Some of you might have seen that Be'ezras Hashem we're going to be running, myself and Rav David Weinberg, an incredible, very unique, I think, and very niche program for Rosh Hashanah in Uman by Rabbi Nachman Schos Yagon Aleinu in the center of Ukraine. The form I'll post to the chat if you haven't seen it yet, and so there are a lot of frequently asked questions that are there, and you'll see pictures of where we're going to be staying and what the idea is. There are already, Baruch Hashem, about 45 people signed up in like a few hours, so we're going to have to cap it at a certain point, but the feedback has like people have been waiting for this for years, and the idea is healthy, normal, balanced, supported, informed, guided, just avoda-oriented uman, not distraction and not noise and not shtuyot and not all the distractions that a person gets stuck in. Really focused, really guided with a like-minded group of Yidden who are really in it, to connect in the deepest way. So everybody is more than invited. You can check all the pricing and all the different things on the form, and it would be a privilege if you'd consider joining us for Rosh Hashanah.
Actually, in Oman.
In
Not like
no, in the actual.
not like natural.
L'chaim, 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 l'shalom, l'chaim, 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 l'chaim. Thank you.
Anyone else walks
return again. Return to the land of the soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of the soul. I'll teach you guys a melody that's from this week's Parsha. And Bilam's prophecy says the famous words that we say in the morning, Matoivu alecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisrael. How goodly are your tents. The tents of the Jewish nation, the tents of Torah and Tefillah, the tents of mitzvahs, the tents of time and space sanctified with the will of the divine. Mishkanesecha Yisrael, and the sturdy foundational structures of Yisrael, of the Jewish nation. And so here's a melody of Reb Shlomo Carlebach. Not so many people know it. It's to these words. And I probably sang it in the past, but we'll just sing it together again. It goes like this. Very beautiful, very simple. Let's start over here. Listen to it first, just the first time, and then you'll join me. Matoivu alecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisrael. 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 Here's the high part. Yevani Giberai V'chazdecha Avai V'yisecha Eshtach V'elecha L'kadshecha B'yirasecha again. Yevani Giberai V'chazdecha Avai V'yisecha Eshtach V'elecha L'kadshecha B'yirasecha Matoivu alecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisrael. Matoivu alecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisrael. Let's do it again. Matoivu alecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisrael. Matoivu alecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisrael. Yevani Giberai V'chazdecha Avai V'yisecha Eshtach V'elecha L'kadshecha B'yirasecha
Umilfana Korea
And I really believe that if we were living in the way that we should live, and if every just human was natural, was healthy, I really believe that when we sing this song, we would feel the angels. We would really, really feel them. We would see them. Because music is supposed to be that way. Today people take certain substances, like they can feel music, you know. I think it used to always be this way. I think that's the way that music always was. It's just we became so closed up to life. And music, a little bit music opens the heart, you know, but it's really hard. And it has to be the right music and the right setting at the right moment. But I believe that the way that our ancestors listened to music was literally a portal. Music wasn't just, you know, it's a nice way to to sing the pasuk. Music was a commentary on the pasuk. Music opened the pasuk up. When you sang the words, you lived the words, you felt the words, you experienced the words. And so we'll sing this as the challenge being passed around. Let's try to feel it. We're going to raise the key a little bit and really, like, what would it feel like to sense the angels? What would it feel? Yeah, we're going to translate now. What would it feel like? The words mean V'Shem Hashem Elokei Yisrael, connecting to the unity beyond all multiplicity, to the ultimate being beyond all spiritual or physical entities. Elokei Yisrael, the God that's always been professed and cherished by the Jewish nation, is guarding this monotheism for all of history. Mimini Michal, to feel on your right side, okay, thank you, to feel on the right side the archangel Michal. Who's always there, guiding us, standing over us with such compassion, leading us. When things are going well in life, it's the energy of Michal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sending down Chesed through Michal, as the angel of Chesed. And when we need strength, when we're faltering, when we go through darkness, we have Gabriel. The angel of Gabriel is there, teaching us how to learn from mistakes, teaching us the wisdom of failure. So that's Mimini Michal u'mismoili Gabriel u'milfanai Uriel. When a Jew is looking forward and it seems so foggy and unclear, whenever a Jew has just a flash of light, flash of clarity, it becomes clear, like, I don't want to live the way I've been living, I want to change. That's the angel Uriel. That's Hashem's light as it's manifesting through this angel. And for all the times in my life that I made mistakes in the past, that I lived in ways that I was wasting my time and I wasn't living consciously, behind us is the angel Raphael, who's the angel of healing. That's the healing aspect of God's messages that teach us that every step along the journey, I couldn't be where I am now if I hadn't gone there, if I hadn't walked those paths. And Va'al Roishi is Shechinaskel. Above my head, above it all, is the unity that's beyond all of these energies, is the one. Is the one. So let's try to feel that. Let's try to tap into those energies, feel them with us. Because they're real. They want and they want the best for us. They're here to guide us. They're guides. And they show up exactly when we need them, at exactly the right moment in life. Okay, so let's sing this together. Hashem Everybody should dig it. Make sure to make brachas loud. Ah.
Anyone want shalom outside?
We should be. There's a spare one here. Excuse me.
So I imagine that in times where music was lived, where music was felt, it's clear to me that that's what music was. Has to be. The way that music is described in the Sfarim, what music is capable of, we taste a little hint of that today. It's said in the name of the Majitzer Rebbe, Schus Yagon later, Rabbi Yisrael Majitzer, who Majitz, more than anything else, Majitz is known for its music. The Majitzer melodies were extraordinarily complicated, beautiful, beautiful melodies. Rabbi Zion Schenker, who was one of the sort of fathers of modern Jewish music, after the Holocaust was a Majitzer Chassid, and he was bringing a lot of Majitzer tunes to the forefront of our consciousness. If anybody knows this, many different Majitzer Negunim, beautiful, beautiful melodies. So Yisrael of Majitz, who was the patriarch sort of that dynasty, said the following. He said that the world says that the Heichal Hanagina, that the chamber, the heavenly chamber of music, is Neben the Heichal Hatshuva, is next to the chamber of repentance, the chamber of returning, the chamber of reconnecting to the essence of who we are, to the essence of what life is all about, to the essence of what it means to be a Jew. Said Rabbi Yisrael Majitz, he said, and I say that the Heichal HaNegina is the Heichal HaTshuva. But the chamber of music is itself the chamber of return. It's not two different things. Music used to be like a doorway that opened up in the sort of like impenetrable brick wall of reality as we know it, which is essentially time and space and ego, right? Which is the sense of self, which we call in Kabbalah nefesh, that experiences things which are in the realm of space, which is called in Kabbalah olam, underneath the realm of time, which is called in Kabbalah shana. These three words, olam, shana, and nefesh, have an acronym, right? Because the first letters of these three words is a word. Ayin for the word olam, shin for the word shana, and nun for the word nefesh. So that's space, time, and the human being that experiences things within the realm of space underneath the force of time. The word that it spells is the word ashan, which means a cloud. And the pasuk refers to this experience of reality as kechaimetz l'shinayim u'ka'ashan le'inayim. It's like vinegar to the mouth, and it's like clouds, smoke to the eyes. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, Schos Yagen Aleinu, in the second teaching of the Likutei Moharan, speaks about, based on the Zohar Kodesh, Treina Anonin de Mechasan al Einin. He speaks about two clouds that could seal our eyes. Clouds make it impossible to see. Smoke, fog, dense fog. I remember my wife and I mentioned in the past, shortly after our wedding, we went on a bit of a honeymoon to Hawaii. We went to Maui, which I'll never ever forget that for as long as I live. I mean, it's really not overrated. If anything, it's underrated. If it could be underrated, like it's because it's rated pretty appropriately. Maui is it's paradise. It's mamish like it's not from this world. It's not from this world. We've been in other beautiful places. Maui is not from this world. And it's a small little island with essentially 4 quadrants, and each quadrant has like a completely different climate. It's a phenomenal thing. That you can travel one to the other. It could be an hour and a half drive, and each one has like a different energy. One's a beach. You go from I believe it's the northwest. I think you go from the northwest quadrant to the southwest quadrant. Within the span of a few hours, you've gone from like the most beautiful beach day that you could ever imagine, pristine beaches, gorgeous blue sea, like huge turtles that are just hanging out on the beach, and you drive like an hour 45 minutes, and you're literally in a rainforest, like the Amazon. Rain, clouds, mist, like literally a rainforest. And up in the rainforest segment, there's a very famous bit of Maui that's really essentially the reason why people go there, which is called the Road to Hana. The Road to Hana is one of the most dangerous roads to drive in the world. That is the most hairpin turns than any other road on Earth. It's terribly precarious, and it's the most scenic drive that exists. It's just the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And so you drive all the way up until you get at the northmost point, after which like the rental cars don't cover insurance. Like there's a dirt path where you can go off the beaten path, and that's supposed to be like totally beyond. But obviously we didn't do that. But we drove the Road to Hana, and it's such a deep message. Now I'm just rambling a little bit, but what can you do? But get me back to Ashan. But the Road to Hana is so incredible because what is Hana? Hana is a tiny little village that is completely unremarkable. It's like the most unremarkable village in the whole entire Maui. There's nothing there. It's literally dead. It's not particularly scenic. It's like, and it's such a deep message because it's called the Road to Hana, but it's not about the destination. It's about the road. It's mamish. It's like you're not going anywhere. And Hana's not a destination. You get there, you turn around, you drive back. But it's the road to Hana. And of course, Hana is Chana. Of course, Chana is synonymous with prayer. And every prayer is the road to Chana, It's not about whether your prayers get answered, it's the prayer. It's the experience of prayer. If we pray properly, so then every prayer is answered because it's already answered, because the prayer is itself an incredible experience of spiritual connection. An experience of humbling ourselves, an experience of saying the very words that our grandmother and her 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 grandmother said these exact same words for thousands and thousands of years with total humility and bittul. Even if they didn't understand why this is important, they trusted that our sages, the greatest Kabbalists of all time, understood what they were doing when they put these particular words in a prayer book. They were great Kabbalists. It's not a ritual. It's not a liturgy. It's the road to Chana, the road to Hana. We said it in this morning's Likutei Moharan, Shir Yismach Leiv Mevakshei Hashem. We quoted a Malbim who says, why is it that the heart of those who seek God are joyous? It should say the heart of those who find God are joyous. Says the Malbim, because it's not about finding God. No one finds God. God is in the infinite mystery. Whoever thinks he found God, you know for sure he didn't. Whoever says he knows, you know for sure right away he doesn't know. All the Svarim say this explicitly. Rabbi Nachman in Torah Samach Gimel, if you take a look, the Berditch of Rav in Parshas Ve'era, the Ma'arinaim, Nahum L'Malach, all the Svarim say almost the same exact words. Whoever thinks he knows, doesn't know. Says the Paliyayitz in Hebrew, Lo yadati sheyadati, I didn't know that I knew, ad sheyadati shalo yadati, until I knew that I didn't know. So Rabbi Nachman says in Sichas Ran, Tachlis hayadiyah asher lo neda. The pinnacle of knowing is to know that you cannot know. And you keep on walking, and you keep on journeying, and you keep on striving and thriving and trying to pull curtain away from curtain away from curtain away from curtain, and what we call in Likutei Moharan, from one makif surrounding light, and that becomes pnim. It enters, and you get a new makif, and a new pnim, and a new makif. Nasa nishma. Nasa is what you implement. Nishma is what we could only hear, but it's beyond us. And then that becomes nasa. Then you get a new nishma, and you go and you go and you go and you go and you go. Why did I speak about Maui now?
Big clouds in front of your eyes.
Oh, thank you. Amazing. Good, you're listening, L'chaim. L'chaim, you're listening better than I am. So, one of the main features of that trip was to drive up a mountain. Can't remember what the mountain is called now, I can look it up. But there's a very famous mountain in the center of the island, and that was one of the things that we were going to do that day, was to drive up. You drive all the way up, and you get to the top, and like incredible views. And you have to get lucky with the weather, because it's a coin toss. It's an island in the middle of the ocean. There's a lot of storms, and it was a rainy day, and we're driving and we're driving and we're driving up and up and up and up and up, and eventually we got to a point. My wife still makes fun of me until today. She's like much braver than me. She says I'm a scaredy cat. I could not see in front of me. I could not see anything. It was such a fog. It was impossible to see. And chicken that I am, I turned around. I'm a better safe than sorry type of person. She takes risks. So we turned around and we went back, and that was our... But that experience of driving into the unknown, this is what this world can be. Ka'ashan le'inaim. Ashan is Rashi is Olam Shana Nefesh. Olam Shana Nefesh. Right? The experience of this worldliness, ego, time and space, blinds the eyes. La'asid lavo, it's going to be removed, and the pasuk says, Ki ayin ba'ayin niru b'shuv Hashem tzion. We will see God eye to eye, meaning the clouds will dissipate, we'll lift, and we'll see reality for what it actually is, which is all godliness. Right now we can't see it that way. Right now we see the reality from the standpoint of the 6 days of the week and not from Shabbos. I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about anymore. I have no idea what I started speaking about. Does anybody remember all the way back to the beginning?
The song you're talking about, the different angels.
Oh, music. Oh, that's right. So, thank you. Amazing. So I believe that music used to open up a doorway in that fog, and it gave us the ability to see out of it. I imagine that when people closed their eyes and listened to music, they were beyond time and space. I believe that if they would just listen, the music and the tempo would remind them that it just goes on and on and on. Music is a journey. The energy of a song is there's no beginning and there's no end. It's just the energy that carries reality along, bit by bit by bit by bit. And it's an opportunity to just reflect on that process. That's what music is supposed to be. I believe that's what music used to be. Today, like I mentioned, you can take some substances, therapeutic or otherwise, which can bring a person into that experience of music. But I believe that was the universal experience of music. That's what music always was. Yeah.
A friend of mine once told me that the word mizmor comes from the root zamer, which is to prune,
to cut
away.
Beautiful. Psuke de Zimra.
It pulls away all of the clippers and goes straight through
exactly right.
to the neshama.
Exactly right. Psuke de Zimra doesn't just mean words, verses of song. It means verses that cut. Psuke de Zimra. And that's why the siddur is set up in that way. When you say Psuke de Zimra, you're cutting away the reality. Cutting away. And that's why the Hallelujahs all make reference to this worldliness. Hallelujah, kol, koichve. I'm gonna forget the words now, but all of it. Tanina v'chol ta'omer, eishavar, shelavikita, ruach sa'ara, etc. You're cutting away all of reality and saying, hey, reality, you don't really exist. Shine forth the light of the Creator that's in you, the power of the Maker that's in the made. Reveal the light. Reveal the light. Don't conceal the light. Ta'ir eretz michvedecha, our earthliness, become elevated and illuminated with God's light. Ta'ir eretz michvedecha has the acronym, it's Rosh Hashanah, MS. Show us the truth. Show us the truth. Hashem Elokeichem emes. Elokim, this world of nature, is Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's all God. Allow me to see that. Allow me to live with Shabbos in the 6 days of the week. Let's try to experience that a little bit in the songs that we'll sing now together.
If I remember correctly,
What's that? Yeah.
It's either concerning Elisha, maybe it's Eliyahu, but it says,
V'haya kinagin hamanagin v'tihi alav. Yad Hashem. Shaul requested, right, for music to be brought.
Someone plays music, then
that's right. Music was prophetic in nature. That's why I keep on making tacit reference. But to those who know, of the therapeutic implementation of certain plants that can be taken that have a psychotropic, psycho-altering experience, music is a crucial element of it. Music is maybe the most crucial element because it guides the journey, it guides the process. But I believe that people used to just be that was naturally how people experienced music. And so today we're so closed up that it's just a hint of that experience. But with that little hint, let's try to connect to a deeper place. Let's try this one. Dum 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 da 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 da. Here are the words, and then we'll sing it again. There's also Shlomo Nigun, but not so well known apparently. The words are Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. The pasuk says, Ahavas Olam. Hashem says, I will give them eternal love. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. I will bring them eternal love. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Ubris Avais Labanim Tiskar. And the covenant that I made with their fathers, which is our fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Labanim Tiskar, I'll remember it on behalf of their children. That's really the whole words. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem, Ubris Olam Labanim Tiskar. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem, Tavi Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem, Tavi Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem, Tavi Tavi Lahem. Oh yeah, yeah, Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Hayo bris havayis v'lavanim tiskor. Hayo bris havayis v'lavanim tiskor. Ahavas Olam Olam Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. One more time, oh, praise always. Labanim Tiskar. Oh, praise Labanim Tiskar. Ahavas Olam Ahavas Ahavas Olam Ahavas Olam Tavi Lahem. Is that not a commentary on those words? It's a commentary. Because it's not an explanation, like, it's a commentary. Because it's like, because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is reaching all the way back in history and connecting us to our roots, connecting us to our forefathers, connecting us to our pride, connecting us to the tears over the Shabbos candles of hundreds and hundreds of grandmothers who just wanted us to stay connected and to carry that torch to the end of history. Ubris avos vilabonim tiskar. It's a commentary. All of his songs are like that. Shlomo's songs are, I think A.B. Rottenberg said, not just they're a commentary, he says they're the Perish Amiti. They are the true commentary. Rav Shlomo's melodies are Pashup Shat in the Pasuk.
Ani haben ואתה האב שלי שכל כך אוהב אותי האב שלי מלך חי וקיים על כל נשימה שאני